And it's now time for In Chat. Alright. Do I have volume? Oh, ooh. Give me a second. Okay. Yep, that all looks good. Give me 1 second. All right. So we're doing Big Run today because, you know, it's Big Run. These only happen every, like, other month. So I thought, you know, let's do it. It's going to be super chaotic. I'm sure I'm going to lose track of everything so many times. But yeah, that's how I'm doing things. Yes. Alright, let's jump into Big Run. Curious to see how much that Starfield thing costs. Definitely not going to buy it. Yeah, I don't get the trend of digital edition, or the trend of collector's editions with steelbooks. So weird. Alright. So, I guess let's start off with the Xbox Game Showcase. Yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it, you know. Screw everything else, let's just jump right into it. So, thoughts on the showcase, having literally zero time to process it. I liked it. I'll be honest. Everything I expected to be there, or, you know, everything I expected, everything I hoped would be there, was there. We got Fable, we got Avowed. I didn't expect Outer Worlds 2. I didn't expect not Dark Pictures. Perfect Dark. I didn't expect Perfect Dark to be there. It wasn't. Yeah, basically everything I thought would be there was there. The only real problem is that everything is coming out next year. Hellblade, next year. Avowed, next year. Other things, next year. The only real thing that's coming out this year is Starfield. And I guess Forza. Forza's also this year. Not that I could even tell the difference between this one and the last one. But yeah, I feel like everything else was coming out next year. Which, the problem with that is, I kept saying, right, this is Bethesda's year to, or this is Microsoft, Xbox's year to shit or get off the pot, right? To finally prove that, hey, we're doing something. And the reason we say that, I say something like that, is because I feel like every year we say, oh, next year is going to be the big year for Xbox. That's the talk every year. Every year is, next year is going to be the big year. And this year was kind of like your final chance to be like, oh, this is the big year. And yeah, sure, there's a lot of big games here. But a lot of them come out next year. So is next year the big year? Are things going to continue to get delayed? Right? Does that then spiral down into 2025 being the big year? And it's kind of hard to tell. You know? Like, I don't really know. Maybe this year is the big year. Maybe it is next year. Maybe this was the big showcase, and maybe they will... Because there was that big thing last year, where Xbox was like, oh, every game we're showing here comes out in the next 12 months. And turns out that just turned out not to be true. And, you know, some of that, like Starfield, they didn't want to do another Cyberpunk. I get that. Silksong, you know, they're making a big game, they can take their time on that. But it's just it's pushing the bar back another year. And you know, I mean, looking ahead at next year, right, Avowed, Fable, theoretically, they definitely didn't even give a release year on that one. That Clockwork game didn't get a release year either. So there are definitely things that did not get anything. But there is a lot of stuff that did say 2024. A lot of it, actually. But hopefully you see where my concern is coming from. That it's always, oh, next year is going to be the big year. But hey, we're getting Starfield this year, and that is a big thing. And it's only a few months, it's like 3 months away. But everything's coming out in September. Starfield, Mortal Kombat, I think is the week after Starfield. There's a ton of other shit as well. Like, Jeff Keighley's game showcase had at least 10 games that came out in September. So, yeah, I guess even with all the 2024s, I'm still positive. Everything I wanted to be there was there at the end of the day. And I can't look past that in theory, right? Like saying, like, just because it's all in 2024 doesn't mean I can't deny that everything I kind of was expecting / wanted was there. Like, that still technically does matter. Yeah, getting it was an hour-long showcase, and then getting 45 minutes of Starfield. That's kind of big. But I think Starfield is exactly what I wanted it to be. It looks like a Bethesda game, and I like Bethesda games. So yeah, it's looking to live up to that notion of Bethesda game. And it's not, baggage is the wrong word for it, but like, with some of these classic franchises, like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, people have certain expectations for these franchises. Certain things that Bethesda just straight up doesn't want to do. So, Starfield is like their fresh slate. It's their chance to do something entirely new, that, not undone, because they're clearly following the Bethesda formula. But there's this whole, right, like, people will never like Fallout. There are people who will never like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 because they don't play like Fallout's 1 or 2. But New Vegas kind of does. But there is definitely an element where I'm like, oh, this is the most New Vegas looking Bethesda game yet. but I think Starfield looks great. The amount of customization, the amount of exploration. Gonna do my run as a geologist. Is it enough to convince me to get an Xbox Series X? Or a Series S? Because, you know, $350 is not a terrible price. Maybe. Yeah, $350 is not a terrible price at all. That's basically a Switch OLED. That's not bad. Definitely better than PSVR, which is literally almost double that price. So I guess I'll go over all the things I'm interested in. So I wrote, as we were doing the show, I was writing stuff down. So I have a few things written down. Not everything, definitely. But I guess we'll go through that. Oh, we're starting off in the middle this time. Cool. Yeah, I guess I'll go through that. Then after that, we'll do Devolver, and then we'll talk about Summer Games Fest. So I'll go in, I guess, reverse order of the conferences. But, you know, I've just got Bethesda fresh on my mind. Or Xbox and Bethesda fresh on my mind. So, they started off with Fable, featuring that one actor. It's not Stephen Grant. I don't know. He's from the IT crowd. He's a great actor. I've seen him in other stuff as well. I think of the IT crowd first, because obviously, but he's in other stuff as well, and he does great there. He's a fun, funny actor. God, I cannot remember his name, obviously. If I wasn't doing something, I'd Google it. But no, I think, you know, that's interesting to get him there. Looks like we're getting it probably is a custom protagonist. But if not, then we have because I don't remember if Fable 3 had a custom protagonist. Or if it was, you were like a chosen, like, you're the son of the king. Or your brother is the king, or whatever the fuck was going on in Fable. I can't remember if your father dies at the beginning of the game and your brother is the evil tyrannical king, or if it was the other way around. It's been long enough that, yeah, I definitely don't remember. Because I've only ever played Fable 3, and I don't think I ever even beat it, if I'm being honest. But it was a thing. But yeah, it was basically just a CGI trailer. You know, it wasn't... Xbox said there was no CGI trailers. I think what they meant is there was no logos. Right? Because when the Fable reboot was revealed, it was revealed as just a logo. This was more than just a logo. Right? We now have an idea of kind of what the game's going to be. Even if it's just a small part of things. But I think, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, it's just we just got a very little bit of Fable. South of Midnight, I do think looks interesting. That one has potential. I love the art style. I hope the final game's art style kind of looks something like that. But other than that, you know, there's a little bit of charm to it. But it's one of those things that we'll have to see more. Star Wars Outlaws, same thing. You know, it's Star Wars. It looked very nice. But again, that was just a CGI trailer. Maybe the cutscenes will look like that. Maybe they won't. Maybe that was just a vertical slice. You know, we'll have to see. But, yeah, the three big games to start off. Again, it's interesting that Ubisoft has been in every other game showcase. Just kind of slowly building up their own. Because they were in Summer Games Fest, they were here. And now they have their own showcase tomorrow. After that, we got 33 Immortals, which is Torchlight? The same studio that did Spiritfarer. Spiritfarer was a fantastic game, and this new game, 33 Immortals, looks very interesting. We're seeing a lot of, I think we are, you know how like animation right now, like animated movies, we're clearly in the post-Spider-Verse world, where films are taking more and more influence from Spider-Verse. See Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Are we in a post-Hades world as well, where video games are taking more and more influence from Hades? Which I know Hades is a roguelite, but definitely between this and that one game in Summer Games Fest that was about time travel, whose name I cannot pronounce. It's not Thurgia. It's something like that. We'll talk about it. I wrote it down somewhere. We're definitely seeing games that I think take more influence from Hades. But Hades is a really good game, so that is, in theory, a good thing. Because I freaking love Hades. It was my game of the year. So yeah, it looks like we're getting more games taking influence from that. What else? But no, the multiplayer stuff, you know, I've been so cynical on multiplayer shooters this past week, because I feel like every studio's doing one. But I think the difference here is that this is an indie game. Well, it's also not a shooter. But, like, I don't think this is going to be another generic live service. I think this in theory, has potential to be more than that. We got Avowed, which we didn't get, like, an insane amount on. Like, I still... You know, they're definitely showing that they're trying to be more than just a Skyrim ripoff. Which, I mean, it's Obsidian. I already have faith that it'll play more like... Whichever is the Skyrim game people like. I can't remember if it's Oblivion or Morrowind. I want to say it's Oblivion is the one people like, but I legitimately have no idea. Because I always mix the two up. Even though one is the one people like, the other one people don't. Yeah, I couldn't tell you which one is which. But no, Avowed looked fine. It's next year, so that's still a ways away. Part of me was kind of hoping it was going to be like a November game. I had hopes for that. Sea of Thieves is getting a Lucasfilm collaboration with Return to Monkey Island. So for those who don't know, Return to Monkey Island was this huge game back in the day. It was so Lucasfilm used to be famous for making adventure games. Return to Monkey Island, Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle, and they all have remasters. Like, all of these games have been remastered over the years. But, yeah, Return to Monkey Island was... And then, of course, they eventually had Brutal Legend, which was kind of their last one. And then Tim Schafer went on to make the studio Double Fine. And they made Psychonauts, which is also really beloved. For very similar reasons, as all the classic Lucas games. Even though it's a little different of a game. But, yeah, Return to Monkey Island is beloved. And, yeah, I know they did Sea of Thieves did a collaboration with Disney for Pirates of the Caribbean. And so doing a Monkey Island thing is also, like, huge. Like, that's also kind of cool. And it seems to be, you know, kind of... You've got the main character of Monkey Island, and it seems to be more story-focused. So there's a lot of potential here for something great. And it comes out, like, next month. Of course, I've never played Sea of Thieves. I know there are people... There's, like, a huge community. I also know it's one of those communities that, like, hates the game, right? Because you can't play a game for 1,000 hours without hating said game. That's just how it works. The new Microsoft Flight Simulator, Flight Sim 2024. And a lot of things, one of the things I'm not mentioning is that a lot of these games are also just going to be on Game Pass. So as long as you have Game Pass, you get these games. Right? Sea of Thieves, I think, is a great Game Pass game. I can see how Fallout 76 is still alive today because it's part of Game Pass. And people want to buy Game Pass. And or people have Game Pass for, like, someone will buy Game Pass for Starfield, put 100 hours, and then be like, oh, let's do it again, and then pick out Fallout 76. That's just kind of how it works. Because Game Pass is one of the best deals in gaming. Yeah, people are completely right about that. I agree with that. Because, yeah, I've enjoyed all my time. When I don't have it at the moment, but when I've had Game Pass, I've had a great time with it. But yeah, new Microsoft Flight Simulator. You know, they're adding more, like, hazards, like tornadoes and whatnot. But they're also adding, they're adding tons of new types of planes. You're going to be able to do, like, rescue missions and whatnot. Hot air balloons. Drones are in there, I think. You know, training for the military. Because that is the future of warfare. Just nothing but drones. That was an amazing final round. Holy crap. 44. If this doesn't get me into bronze tier, I don't know what does. I don't think we broke 100, but we're close. Oh, we hit exactly 100. If that doesn't get me into bronze tier, I don't know what does. That was an amazing round. Holy shit. Because I want to say gold tier is like 120 usually. Hellblade 2, again, it's another game. You know, this could have also been our November game. A game coming out in November. But no, they're taking their sweet time with it. It's been announced for, like, years now. I feel like we got a gameplay trailer, like, 2 years ago at Summer Games Fest. And yeah, they're still just taking their time. But I'm sure when it comes out, it will be amazing. Jusant, this was Don't Nod. And this was their, like, climbing game. Okay, that looked kind of interesting. You're right, it's rock climbing. But it looked interesting. So yeah. Same thing with Dungeons of Hinterberg. That was the one with that unique art style that I think will be a good game. I'll forget about it now. But then in, yeah, a few months, it'll, like, come to Game Pass. And everyone will be like, oh, you gotta check. Kind of like Hi-Fi Rush was this year. That's Hi-Fi Rush of next year. Because I want to say they said early next year. I want to say that Jusant was... There was one game that was coming out in the fall. I don't know if it was any of these. But no, both those games look fine, and yeah, they'll be great Game Pass games that people will be talking about for that short period after they come to Game Pass. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty looks interesting. Are you going to Vegas in that game? Part of it kind of looked like you were in Vegas, like future, because I know Cyberpunk takes place in California. So are you in Vegas in this new one? I do love Space Force 1. That's funny. It's one of those funny, stupid things. But no, it looks fine. I'm skeptical, of course, because even though everyone says that they fixed Cyberpunk is good now. You know, I have my reasons to be skeptical. I mean, was it someone talking about a flying car? I mean, the driving barely works in the game to begin with, but I remember something on a flying car. Maybe that was something different. City Skylines 2... I own the original City Skylines. It's a game I've put a little time into, but I'm always like, oh, I need to put more. And then there's all the DLCs, which I've barely touched. When I was younger, I used to not like games like City Skylines, but now, as I've matured, I appreciate them more. Like, I see the effort that exists in games like that, and I'm always like, yeah, I should put more time into those. But then I never do. You know, I mean, I played Planet Coaster for the first time this year. Put like 5 hours into it and haven't touched it since. Oh, shit. But no, it looks interesting. I wonder how big of like a graphical thing it's going to be. Like, how beautiful is it going to be? But it looked fine, and they're definitely adding a bunch of new stuff to it. I saw, you know, trains, planes, and automobiles. Oh, shit. I saw the message, and it was, like, too late. Clockwork Revolution, it reminds me of a BioShock, if I'm being honest, right? It's steampunk, but I like the time travel thing, right? Going back, then you come back and you change the world. It also reminds me of Dishonored or something like that. But no, I feel like it has potential to be something interesting. And it's coming eventually. It's kind of in that same Fable camp where it'll be out eventually. But no, I was kind of interested in that. I like the time travel stuff. And just, you know, changing the future to change the world. But yeah, it definitely reminds me of, like, a Dishonored or a, what was that game that came out last year? What was that? I cannot remember the name of it. The one where you were in, like, stuck in a time loop. It was called... I fucking don't know. But it kind of reminds me of something like that as well. But yeah, and that was the last game, because then they went into Starfield for 45 minutes. And everything in Starfield looks interesting. There's a lot of customization, there's a lot of world to explore. It seemingly follows the Bethesda formula of explore, combat, and loot. Which is a formula Bethesda's been doing for like 15 years now, and it really starts with, I mean, technically it starts with Skyrim, but I think Skyrim was kind of almost 15 years. Skyrim was 12 years ago. So Skyrim was a while ago. But no, everything in Starfield, from, right, in the faction, alright, I brought up factions, and it does seem like there's going to be an evil faction that hopefully you can join. But of course, you know, the Bethesda formula, you join a faction, you're made the leader. This time, are you going to actually have some control over your faction? Because, you know, I think instead of having control over a faction, I think it'd be better for the faction just not to make you the leader. Like, I feel like that's the solution to the problem, and not just make you the leader and then you have to follow Preston Garvey's orders because another settlement needs your help. But we'll see. But no, it looks like it's everything I want it to be, and I think that's a good thing. You know, the idea of just being a geologist, I think, is very funny. Just playing the most boring... But, because that's one of the things, because in some of the older Fallout games, you can beat the entire game without getting into combat. And you can get very far into New Vegas without ever shooting a gun. outside of, you know, the tutorial. But I'm pretty sure there are people who have beaten Fallout New Vegas without shooting a gun. I would not be surprised if someone like Mint and Squad has done that. Because that's, well, one, that seems like a Mint and Squad thing. But, yeah, you can... Games like that... But yeah, I wonder how far can you get in Starfield without ever engaging in combat. That'll be an interesting test. Am I the one who wants to test that? No, not really, but... that is going to be something. But yeah, in the main story... at least the Constellation story. Because everyone seems to be a human. That was something that, you know, I was kind of noticing... And then in the character creator, you can't create an alien. So I would not be surprised if, yeah, every character in this game is an alien. God, the dynamo is so slow, you're going to have to get that a lot of wind up to get that guy. But yeah, so it looks like your goal in the game is to discover alien life, because there seems to not be any. Because it's just been humans. But you know, I do recognize things like Alpha Centauri and whatnot. So those are real stars. But no, I'm definitely interested in Starfield. I feel like it has potential to be Bethesda's best game. But it's going to be buggy and broken, right? It's of course it's going to be. But bugs can be fun. I know I'm not the only one to say that. It's just when bugs get in the way of making the game playable. That's the problem. And games can be fixed. I mean, Cyberpunk, New Vegas. Yeah, New Vegas was buggy and broken at launch. The problem is that we just let... the thing that led to Fallout 76 and games like Cyberpunk is that we let studios get away with too much. That, right, when reviewing games like Fallout 4 and Fallout 70 and Fallout... when reviewing games like Skyrim and Fallout 4, we don't hound Bethesda enough for the bugs. Like... having bugs in a Bethesda game is like having bad spelling on an English paper. You know, some people will take off like a single point, but a lot of people don't take off enough points. And yeah, critics are more willing to be like, oh, well, this game's very buggy, but it's fun, so here's only 1 point off. Whereas, and then that gets worse and worse over time, until you eventually get Fallout 76, or Fallout 76 and Cyberpunk, that are unplayable. Right? They have so many spelling errors that you can't even tell that it's English. Where's the Pikmin? Oh, it's over. But overall, I think I'm positive on the Xbox Direct. Yeah, sure, everything's coming out next year. Except for Starfield. But I think Starfield looks good. And yeah, everything, hopefully, when it comes out next year, will be good. Xbox? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know, Game Pass is a great deal. But now, we're like 3 years into this console generation. So yeah, there's no way they're supporting the Xbox One anymore. It's the Series X or nothing. So yeah, that's yeah, I'm positive on it. You know, I feel like it, and that's I think how that's how I think about this E3. It matched my expectations. Definitely didn't exceed them. And I know some people will take off points for that, and I totally get that. But no, it totally matched my expectations. If I had to give this showcase a rank out of 10, yeah, I'd probably give it. I don't know. What did I give the I think I gave the PlayStation Showcase a 6. I guess I'd give this one an 8. Yeah, I'd say an 8 probably. If there were less 2024s, it'd probably be a 9. But... And there was nothing that blew me away. Like, that was a big out of left field surprise. So that's definitely not a 10. Yeah, I feel solid with an 8. So next up, since we're talking about these conferences in reverse order, let's talk about Devolver. So Devolver Showcase was the other night. We did stream it. Their whole thing was the return of Volvi. The big thing I was saying that, oh, you know what? Knowing Devolver and how they do showcases, they're probably going to talk about AI. Because, you know, things like ChatGPT are the big hot topic issue. And guess what they talked about? AI. They had Volve-E, which was an AI program that made games. Of course, these are real games made by real people. So the 4 games we got were the Talos Principle 2, which was literally revealed at Sony Showcase the other week. So that's nothing big and new. We got Baby Mode, which was this really weird game that was all about... It's made by Bennett Foddy, you know, the people who did Getting Over It and FOP and whatnot. And it's it's basically 3D QWOP. You're in a 3D space, and you're moving around a man baby who is, you know, basically he's been on the couch for so long that he's now learning how to walk, and you've got to deal with that. And yeah, to that end, that looks, you know, it looks like it's going to be a nightmare, but that's a thing. Wizard with a Gun is kind of, it reminds me of Don't Starve, but, you know, you're a wizard with a gun. It looks fine. And then the final game was, they announced Human Fall Flat 2. The first Human Fall Flat's a very weird game, but I enjoy it. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. So, getting a new one, okay, cool. I mean, I don't feel like it's been an insanely long time since the last Human Fall Flat, but who am I to judge? God, there's so much shit here. I tried to save that guy. Okay, we're still at 27. But yeah, the actual showcase itself was, I said at the time, this is Devolver's 8? Because, you know, usually Devolver showcases are amazing. But Devolver's 8 is another studio's 10. And yeah, I stand by that for this showcase. That if this is Devolver's 8, it was a pretty solid 8. There was no Nina Struthers this year. There was no big music piece. The weirdness, I felt like, didn't go far enough. Like, usually Bethesda showcases can be very weird. I felt like this one just didn't get that far. Like, I think Bethesda showcases can be much, much weirder. And this one just straight up wasn't. Like, it had that one moment near the end where, you know, the giant hand, and then they kill... And then, right, it kills the guy. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting moment. That's your weird, wacky moment. That kind of reminds me of the first ever Devolver showcase. But other than that, I wasn't too impressed. I hate Kohazuma. Yeah, there wasn't anything big, like, for the end of this showcase. I don't know, I guess I just wanted them to go a little bit more crazy. But it's still, for, like, Devolver standards, it's probably their worst one. Yeah, it's probably Devolver's worst one. But, yeah, their 8 is somebody else's 10. So, yeah. Just real quick in and out. Next up, Summer Games Fest. So, I always have very low expectations for Summer Games Fest. And as a result, I felt like this showcase met my low expectations. So overall, I'm kind of positive on it, I guess. You know, when you expect nothing, getting nothing, you know, my expectations were low, and I wasn't let down. It's not, right, this was not the me. So, I guess I'm kind of fine with it. Yeah, I'd honestly, for having low expectations, for expecting nothing and getting nothing. Yeah, no, and there were some, and we did get some things. So I guess let's talk about what things we did get. It started off with Prince of Persia. Again, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, that is supposed to be getting a remake. That we'll find out if that's even still happening tomorrow. But the original Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is considered one of the best games ever. So for it getting a new Prince of Persia is very interesting. And, like, it makes sense, because we've seen studios do this before, where they announce a new game around the same time as a remake. See, recently from Nintendo, Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 was announced with Pikmin 3, right, and then just a year earlier, hey, guess what? Pikmin 3 is getting a release. So, stuff like this is pretty standard. You know, nothing new there. But, yeah, a new Prince of Persia, okay, it might be good. It has to... One of the things that is important about Sands of Time is that it's charming, but it also doesn't have great combat, so you definitely have to fix the combat for the new game. But they might be able to do it. I don't know, it's a Ubisoft game, so I probably won't play it. But no, that's the one big thing, is they need to fix the combat if they're doing Sands of Time. And if since they're remaking Sands of Time, they need to fix the combat in that. Mortal Kombat 1, I'll be honest, I was hoping for more. I don't know, I hear all these great things about Street Fighter, and how, like, Street Fighter 6 is, you know, changing the game, making things feel fresh and new. And that's definitely not the feeling I get from Mortal Kombat 1. It doesn't, I don't see anything like big, fresh, or new in Mortal Kombat 1, the same way people talk about Street Fighter 6. So, to that end, I will say I was kind of underwhelmed. The new cameo thing is interesting. The way I'm thinking about it is it looks like it's an excuse for them to add more characters. You know, but that have smaller... They're kind of like just having like a permanent assist trophy. That might be a harsh way of looking at it, but that kind of seems to be it. Come on. So, yeah, I was not impressed with Mortal Kombat 1. Just being honest, like, it did not blow me away. At least compared to everything I'm hearing about Street Fighter. Which I've been hearing nothing but impressive things. Oh, was I still... I thought I was being killed. God, they spawn too many missiles, and that's it. Because there's at least 2 missile guys out. And we just can't deal with that. The new Sonic game looks great. You know, it's a 2D Sonic, but they're using not an 8-bit art style, but, you know, a more modern art style that, you know, it's a more modern art style is fine as long as it's not overused, because that's Mario's problem. Mario went for a more modern art style and then used it for like 6 games in a row. I'm counting Mario Maker as part of that. And that's when it kind of got stale. So I guess I have higher hopes from Nintendo to do something better. Or from Sega. Even though I definitely should not have higher hopes from Sega. Because Sega has done nothing but let people down forever now. So yeah, there's no reason to get high hopes for a Sega game. But I guess that's where we are. But no, I'm interested in a new Sonic game. And they're bringing back that gun guy whose name I don't remember. Snipe the Weasel, something like that. So that's a thing. Nope. I realized I couldn't get away from that guy. Liza P was showing off. I know a demo came out for that. I have not played it, but from what I understand, people seem to be liking it. I didn't think about this, but I guess they're making a whole game mechanic out of like doing quests for people, and then when you turn in the quest, you have the option to tell them the truth or to lie to them. Because, you know, it's Pinocchio, and when he lies, his nose grows. So I guess there's, like, a whole element to that. And as you lie and tell the truth, you, like, become, like, more or less human. Because you're still Pinocchio. You're a doll. But you're trying to become human. So I guess it's, in some ways, it's like the morality system that you would see in, like, an Infamous game. But I hope they do more interesting things than that. Like, I hope... Because the problem with something like the Infamous morality system, or the Bioshock morality system is probably a better example. In the Bioshock morality system, being evil, there's no big, like, punishment or reward for being evil. Like, yeah, being evil is easier and it gets you more experience. But you still get a lot of experience for being good. There's definitely a better way to balance the being evil versus being good. And so I wonder how they're going to balance telling the truth versus telling a lie. I'm not from what I've seen of the game, I'm not entirely sure, but I hope they find some good way to balance it. Alan Wake 2 looks very interesting. You know, I know very little about the first game. But I know people do like the first game, and I know people really liked Control. And based on combining what people like about Alan Wake and what people like about Control, I think you can make something very good. It's especially nice because the developers, Remedy, are no longer... Right, they're independent now. They used to be under the thumb of... maybe Activision Blizzard, maybe some other studio, maybe EA... I don't remember. They used to be under the thumb. They used to be owned by somebody else. But now they aren't anymore. And that's good. You know, hopefully they don't go pulling themselves a Destiny and just selling themselves off to... Because Destiny got out of Activision Blizzard's thumb. And then immediately... Bungie's the studio. And then immediately got under Sony's thumb. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But you never know. Pal World, I only bring this up because this is the Pokemon ripoff with guns. That is so fucking weird, man. And I'm kind of interested in that because it's so weird. Like, the fact that it's a strange game makes me more interested in it. So, yeah, that's coming out next year. Or it's entering... Because we've been getting trailers for it for like a... I think we were getting trailers for it in like 2020. Because it was one of those weird things where it's like, oh, you've got to show somebody who's never seen this trailer. Because it's so fucking strange. And it is. Pal World is a really strange trailer. But it is entertaining, so... Yeah. And that's next year. Lisfinga? So this is that other game that, again, kind of reminds me of Hades, but they're doing time travel stuff. Okay, time travel Hades. You color me curious. But no, it was like you could play the game and then you you start attacking an enemy with a shield from the front. And then you rewind time and then attack it from the back. But it's using, that Hades style. It looks very interesting. I do think it has potential to be something very interesting. And that might be next year. Yeah, color me intrigued. God, how can I couldn't hit that thing. And then we got Spider-Man's release date. Even though PlayStation just did a showcase the other week. Nope, we got nothing from Spider-Man from it. But instead we got Spider-Man, but we didn't get a release date. And nope, just 2 weeks later, they lock in the release date for Spider-Man. Being this week. It's just, I find it very strange. That, yeah, we got nothing from Spider-Man last week. But yet, we didn't get the release date, but yet they gave it to us this week. What changed in the past 2 weeks? Were people so disappointed that we didn't get the release date that they last minute added it to Summer Games Fest? It's possible. It's not very likely, but it's possible. Did Sony promise Jeff Keighley Spider-Man's release date and then decide to do back in December did they promise it? And then they just decided to do a state of play this week, so it kind of worked out like that. I don't know. It's any number of things, honestly. And then, but yeah, the release date is October 20th. So that's the one thing in October. So far, there seems to be a lot of games in September. And then we got that one game in October. And then I don't know if we have anything in November. I can't think of any game that is coming out in November. But there might be something. And then the final thing of the showcase was Final Fantasy VII Remake. I do wonder what they're going to do in Final... Right? Because supposedly it's a 3 parts. So this is part 2. But I do wonder what they're going to do. Right? Where does it end off? I have a guess. Based on what I know about Final Fantasy VII, I have a good guess of where this one ends off. But I also know nothing about Final Fantasy VII, so I might be completely wrong. But this is one of those things that's been spoiled for years now. And part of me is fine with just saying it, because again, the game's 20 years old, if not older. But also, we were one short. That was the final wave. And there was somebody right by the basket. Maybe they didn't have an egg. But no, my guess is it ends with the swan. That's my guess. But I don't know if that happens. I want to say that happens in the middle of the game. But that might be late on. I don't know. Because I know they have to meet... Is it Genova? That's one of the big things, definitely. Sephiroth's mom. I know that's going to be a big thing. But I don't know if that's late or early enough in the game to end it. Because I don't know when that scene happens. Because, yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Final Fantasy VII. But there's a lot to do. And yeah, so yeah, my expectations, you know, there's definitely some things I am interested in. Sonic. There are some things, but there's nothing, you know, what makes Summer Games Fest interesting is that it's an eclectic show. It covers games from Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sony, PC. I think I said PlayStation twice. Right? It covers something from everyone, which allows there to be a lot of different things. Like, there was no, like, if you remember the Game Awards had like 4 space horror games. And it was like, God, did we really need 4 of these? But then this showcase, right, it felt a lot more balanced. Like, there was no one genre that had like 10 games in it. Which is a good thing, you know, it's good to find balance, because you'll get something for everybody. But getting something for everybody kind of comes at a cost. Right? Like, Microsoft knows their market. They know what people want when they see a Microsoft showcase. Starfield. Whereas Summer Games Fest is a lot more imbalanced. But that's kind of the cost of things. Oh, fuck me. But yeah, so I have no expectations for it. It matched those expectations perfectly. By that end, does it deserve a more balanced score because of that? Because I expected nothing and I got nothing, does it deserve a better score? Part of me says yes, because if you expect nothing and you get nothing... Do I give it the standard IGN 7 out of 10? Part of me says yeah. You know, give it IGN's lowest score. Yeah, 7 out of 10. I don't know. A part of me says that because I expect nothing and there was nothing, it should go exactly middle of the road, 5 out of 5. But then there was also that PlayStation showcase, and... I mean, to be fair, I had higher expectations for the PlayStation showcase, and the only thing the PlayStation showcase had was Spider-Man. But I really liked Spider-Man. I don't know. And see, it's really hard for me to give, like, lower than a 5 to a showcase. Because, especially anything we saw this year. Because there was no coach media presentation this year. If you remember, I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, there was the coach media presentation, which was like 2 hours long. And it showed off like 3 games. And it was just the worst thing. There was nothing that bad this year. So part of me, yeah, I can't really... Like, that's a showcase I'd give like a 1 or a 2 to. There was nothing that bad this year. And I'm a more positive person by nature, so... Yeah, let's just stick with a 7. 7, 8, 9. I guess that makes Xbox the winner. Good for Xbox, I guess? Yeah, no, I guess that makes Xbox the winner of Games Fest. Yeah, big run. Big run, and we're talking about E3. Kind of. And there we go. Yeah, big run goes for the next 4 hours. So if you want to get in, you better get in now. You know, it was an Xbox showcase. Yeah, Xbox wins it. Xbox wins E3. Because I don't think Nintendo's having a showcase. Just straight up, Nintendo's not doing a showcase. Because if they are, then they wouldn't have released a Pikmin trailer last week. So sometime in the next week, I'm going to predict they're going to release a new trailer for Mario Kart. We also still need to get a trailer for Everybody Want to Switch. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a trailer for that, because that comes out at the end of the month. It's going to be fucking garbage, but, you know, we need to get a trailer for that at some point. You know, I say Nintendo's not doing a Direct. They could do a mini Direct. They do a mini Direct, you know, show off some third-party games, show off Everybody Want to Switch, give us a new Pikmin trailer. Depending on when the Splatoon DLC comes out, get a trailer for that. And we get a trailer for the Mario Kart DLC, because I'm going to predict that's going to be either this month or next month. Probably next month, but I think it is coming sooner rather than later. Because we know they've all got to be out before the end of the year. And they got one out, there was one back in, like, what, March or April? So it's been a while. Yeah, no, that's... I hate fighting the bosses, like, Kohozuna in this game. So annoying. You know, you're shooting golden eggs at it, and it kind of sucks. Ouroboros is a little better, but not by much. Xbox wins E3. God, that's wild. That's wild to say, because I would never think of an Xbox winning E3. Right? In past years, it's always been Nintendo or Sony. I mean, I guess we still have Ubisoft's presentation tomorrow, but who gives a shit about Ubisoft's presentation? I am professional +1, I think. I'm not, like, super high up. Like, I'm not amazing at Salmon Run. You're a go-getter. Yeah. I really only play Big Run, and then when a new piece of gear comes out. Other than that, I don't really play Salmon Run that much. So the next thing we have to talk about, so I know we're done talking about E3 showcases, but one other company did have a showcase this week. That being Apple. Apple held their big event this year. I do not have an iPhone. I don't give a shit about an iPhone. But I did watch this Apple showcase specifically because I was interested in their new VR AR thing. So I was kind of curious about that. So I watched the Apple showcase. And, well, the first thing I'll say is, so we always talk about gamer entitlement. How, like, gamers go into these presentations expecting the moon. I have realized watching that Apple showcase with a live chat, I have to apologize to gamers. Because gamers may be entitled, but Apple fans are so much worse. Apple fans, right, I say Nintendo fans are gluttons who would not be satisfied with the riches of heaven. Apple fans are Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. They have all the riches of heaven and still want more. Like, they already have it all. God damn. And it's interesting, there was a whole thing with Apple fans in the stock market. Like, Apple would announce something, and then they would be like, oh, the stock price just fell 3%. Or shit like that. It's so weird. Like, there was a weird obsession with the stock market. But yeah, Apple, the only thing I gave a shit about in this Apple showcase is the new Apple headset. So Apple announces a new headset that is it's a VR headset. But they didn't talk about VR. Like, they never talked about VR during the showcase, but it does VR. It instead it's an AR headset, so it's augmented reality. And yeah, that was a nice... That crab getting launched to the other side of the arena was a great save. But no, the Apple headset... It, like, you know in, like, movies and TV shows that take place in the future, where you see, like, oh, hey, it's like the screen is, like, floating? It's that, but, you know, you're wearing a headset to do it. You can't just do it. You gotta, like, wear the special headset. But, you know, it basically is projecting a screen as if it's floating in the air. Yeah, it is a computer for your head. And when I think about it like that, instead of thinking it as like a gaming machine or something like that, when I think about it as like a floating monitor, I think it's very interesting. And it has the potential to be something really cool and really special. The first problem, though, is the price point. The price point for this Apple AR headset is over $3,000. Which, like, I get it. This is the first iteration of a headset, and as we get newer iterations and the technology becomes better, it'll go down in price. Eventually, it'll be, you know, maybe it'll go less and less until eventually we literally are just wearing, like, glasses, like sunglasses, that project the exact same imagery. But that'll happen in, you know, 10 years. But at a starting price point, it is $3,500. I thought it was going to be $2,500. But yeah, for just a really fancy headset, it's over $3,000. The Xbox Showcase was pretty good. They showed off a lot. It was over 45 minutes of Starfield. And I'm really interested in Starfield. So yeah. But yeah, there's all these like, at first when I saw the headset, I thought it was like a see-through display. So that way, you know, you could do all the stuff in AR, but you can also see through the headset. No, it's instead just got cameras that make it like that project the world around you. You know how like headsets like the PlayStation headset, and I know some of the Oculuses have like cameras at the front of the headset. It does that, but it also has a screen on the front, so that way it can project a video of your eyes. Instead of being like transparent glass, or even like glass that goes from transparent to like hard. No, it's just got an extra display on the front, just so that way you could be using the headset. Someone can make eye contact with you, and it'll project your eyes back at you. It's a really strange thing. They're using AI technology to make like an AI avatar of you, so that way you can wear the headset and take voice calls, which is so strange. So, yeah. What else? What other weird shit was in this Apple showcase? They had a whole segment about Disney and like how they're partnering with Disney, and Disney Plus will be available. Because basically you can like put on a Disney display and then like make the world around you go black. So it's as if you're like in a movie theater watching a Disney movie, but you know, from the comfort of your house. That's interesting. I do definitely think this product looks better when I think about it more as a display and less as a VR headset. I know that means it's just a really overpriced display, but that's how I think about it. They talked a lot about 3D modeling, which was like, okay, you know, you could like make a 3D model in Blender or Unity, and then you could literally pull that up in 3D space. And I know VR headsets kind of do something like that, but that's interesting. They had a whole planetarium thing where it's as if you could like go and you're like seeing, like, you look up at the stars and it's like you're looking up at the night sky. Okay. Oh god, fireflies. But no, the whole planetarium thing is interesting. I think there's a lot... See, I think there's a lot of potential for something like this. The problem is, though, the price at the moment. It's super fucking expensive. But as this gets more and more iterations, it will cost less and less. And as other companies start doing it as well. That's the other thing. Right now, it's just Apple doing this. But as other companies, you know, when Samsung eventually makes their AR headset, it'll cost less money. Because eventually, yeah. Because this is... everything this Apple headset is what Facebook wanted the metaverse to be. But whereas the metaverse is a complete failure on every account, this seemingly has more potential. I do think, right now it's stupid expensive, but it could be great. And they aren't, and unlike something like Xbox, or unlike Facebook, that, you know, was like Horizon Worlds, we're gonna throw you in a virtual reality office space. No, this is still like, hey, guess what? You're just in your normal office space. But, you know, you can make your thing transparent. I don't know, part of it is like, hey, you can do like all of your office work, but you're inside this like virtual space. So it's like, imagine using like a laptop computer, but having like a giant like 40-inch TV. But you're in, like, a giant office. So instead of having to, like, mind yourself in your office, you know, you only have so much space for monitors. Using one of these headsets, you can have a massive monitor and a computer to go along with it. There's a lot of potential for things here. It's just how far will they actually go with it? And at the moment, we don't know. Right? Because they haven't actually, like... Supposedly from people who have actually got their hands on this thing, it does work like Apple is showing. Like, Apple's not lying with these videos. That look a little ridiculous, admittedly, but there are definitely interesting things here. I don't know. Right now, this Apple headset, right, like Facebook's metaverse felt very dystopian. This doesn't. Right, like, Facebook's metaverse was, like, apocalyptic in many ways. At least that's kind of how it felt. Especially because the term metaverse comes from the famous book, Don't Invent the Metaverse. So it felt very dire. This, on the other hand, I feel a lot more positive about it. At least that's how I think about it. I don't know. It's definitely, the price point's insane. I totally think that, yeah, the price point is wild. But other than that, no, there are some good things here. People potentially are going to do great things eventually. And yeah, because Google Glass, I will stand by, was a decent... Google Glass was the start of something that could have been amazing. The problem was, it never got past that initial phase. Because I like the idea, you know, kind of like what we see in sci-fi, of wearing a pair of glasses that basically have a heads-up display in them. And I think in, yeah, 10 iterations, 15 years, this will eventually become that. It's just not there yet, and it's way too fucking expensive. I mean, look at smartwatches. You know, smartwatches have come a long way in the past 10 years. And that all has to start somewhere. And this is where. So I guess I don't know, this Apple headset's interesting. I definitely want to... It's one of those things where it's like... Because kind of like when the original Oculus came out in 2010-ish, I actually used one of the original Oculuses. Not because I had one, but because I knew someone who had one. You know, like 3 degrees of separation. And it was through that I got to try the original Oculus, which was very interesting at the time. Because, you know, VR like that didn't exist up to that point. And we've come a long way since then. So, yeah, I guess I'm more positive on this Apple. It's called Apple Vision Pro. I don't know if I've actually said that up to this point. But that's the name of it. Apple Vision Pro. God damn it, we were just 10 seconds away. Not that we were doing amazing or anything. I've definitely got... you can tell I'm not an overfisher. So next up, we got a short trailer for Pikmin 4. So Pikmin 4 comes out in a little more than a month. It's like a month and 10 days. And we got a trailer for it, which I mentioned last week, that if we get a trailer for Pikmin 4, that means that we're not getting a Nintendo Direct. And I still kind of stand by that. But this new trailer was more story-based, and it was explaining the story of Pikmin 4, is that Olimar has crash-landed on a planet. I'm pretty sure it's not Earth. I'm pretty sure we're on a brand new planet, because the planet in Pikmin's 1 through 3 is Earth. But from what it sounds like, this is a new planet, even though it looks just like Earth. I don't know, some things look different on the overworld map, so that's a whole thing. But it looks like Earth. So, yeah. But we'll see. I do know the new captain, it was confirmed that the new captains in this game are not from Hocotate or Kopai. They come from a new planet altogether. Where the fork did that guy... Did you see that guy? He just came flying in. Where the heck did that guy come from? What? It's like somebody catapulted him over. I've never seen that before. Trying to do the work I can. But as part of the new Pikmin trailer, right, these new captains are from a new planet. They work for the rescue squad, but as it turns out, the rescue squad needs to be rescued. And that's where your character comes in. You're a member of the rescue squad. You're like the rescue squad's last resort. You know, trying to save the rescue squad. Which is an interesting premise, you know, because there's, in the Pikmin universe, there's something about Earth that, like, it's, like, mystical, that causes ships to crash on it. Like, they literally say that in Pikmin 3. That, like, there's something on Earth that causes ships to crash. And so, we're kind of, right, Olimar crashed, the rescue squad crashed, and now this new character is actually making it there, and their goal is to rescue the rescue squad. And the new thing is they are a player-created character. So, I mean, it's not going to have as much player character creation as Starfield, but you're able to create your own captain, and they're rescuing the rescue squad. It looks like you might be able to create 4 captains, so you're not just creating one character, you're creating 4, but that's fine. But that seems to be one of the new features, is your player creation. Which makes sense. I'll be honest, I thought the default captains were fine, you know, characters like Shepard and whatnot. Assuming Shepard is one of the player characters you create, I kind of don't know anymore, but I thought they looked fine. But yeah, the game comes out in a month now. And yeah, it's just a very brief trailer. Part of me was kind of hoping that Olimar just... I know Olimar is the character in Smash Bros. He's the main character of Pikmin 4. But part of me was kind of hoping that he just wasn't involved in this one. But no, we're instead rescuing Olimar again, which is what we were doing in Pikmin 3. I guess that's where my disappointment comes from. Is that in Pikmin 3, you're rescuing Olimar. Not your original intention, but you do it along the way. And in this game, you're rescuing Olimar again. And in Pikmin 2, you're rescuing Louie. So I don't know. I guess I was just hoping for more than that. But what you gonna do? But yeah, it looks fine. You know, the game comes out in a month now, and I feel like there's still a lot we don't know about it. But there's probably going to be a bigger trailer at some point. Just a matter of time. Next up, our last story of the night, or the day. There was a rumor that came out this week that Illumination is in final talks to make a Zelda movie. I know some people are really worried, because, you know, everybody wants Studio Ghibli to make a Zelda movie. And I do as well. But after watching the Illumination Mario movie, you know, if Nintendo wants to have Illumination make their cinematic universe, as long as they stay animated, I really do feel like Nintendo could find an interesting niche. Because, you know, in all the cinematic universes we've seen so far, including the 1.5 that work, and the rest that have all failed, have all been live action. So trying to make an animated cinematic universe could be interesting. And even if, you know, they don't have to make a cinematic universe. Like, we don't need a Smash Brothers movie. Would it be neat? Sure. But we always have Smash Brothers, the video game. And that's fine enough for me. Honestly. But I thought the Mario movie was fine. I think if Nintendo holds as tight of a grasp on Illumination for a Zelda project as they do a Mario project, I think they could make a fine Zelda movie. I would have higher hopes for a Zelda movie than a Mario movie, because Zelda has a lot of potential. I would say the obvious game to adapt is Ocarina of Time. I feel like Ocarina of Time has the most laid out story. It's got the most potential for a movie. But what do I know? You know, they could do. They're a Nintendo and Illumination. I see the other potential is I see Skyward Sword. I don't think it's a good idea to do Breath of the Wild. I would say Skyward Sword or Ocarina, but I think Ocarina of Time is the safe bet. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But no, I know some people are super worried about this. Some people don't want Illumination to do it. But they did fine with the Mario Brothers movie. I mean, I guess we'll have to see if they fuck it up in the next one. But Nintendo has a very tight grip on things nowadays. Nintendo is the Disney of video games. They take their intellectual property very seriously. So I don't expect them to let Illumination half-ass this. If anything, it will be because of Nintendo that Illumination becomes a respectable studio. Which kind of sounds insane when I put it that way, but that's totally possible. I still do want to go to Nintendo World, though. That'd be cool. One day. 'Tis the life of the millennial Gen Z kid, not being able to go to the theaters. Because all of the boomers and Disney adults. Alright, so I guess that takes us into WIBE. We'll do a short WIBE tonight, you know. We've been going for 3 hours. Even though I definitely will, even though admittedly an hour and 40 minutes of that was the Xbox Direct, I will definitely edit that down and post though. Because I haven't posted any of my E3 stuff so far, or the Summer Games Fest stuff. And I haven't posted anything onto YouTube. I think the Minecraft video went up though. So, what have I been playing? I've been playing Advanced Wars. I finally was like, you know what, screw it, I want to play Advanced Wars, let's do it. So I started it up, and yeah, I actually like it. Part of my worry was Wargroove. So there was a game called Wargroove that was basically the spiritual successor to Advanced Wars. Because for a long time it looked like Nintendo was never going to make another Advanced Wars game. And Wargroove was fine. The problem was, Wargroove was very fucking hard. Its difficulty ramped up very quickly. And part of me was worried that this game was going to work the same way. That its difficulty was going to ramp up very quickly. And no, it doesn't. it's much more manageable. It's much more user-friendly. But if you also, it's the thing where if you know about the game, it lets you, like, skip all the tutorials. But if you don't know about the game, then it's willing to get, like, everything gets a new tutorial. But all the tutorials are completely optional. That's nice. Because as someone who knows nothing about these games, you know, I was able to do all the tutorials and learn everything I needed to, or else I would have been super confused. But no, it's a lot more accessible. The maps are so... That's one of the things I remember about Wargroove, is that the maps were just fucking massive. Because that was how they ramped up difficulty so quickly, is that they made big maps. Nope, this game has a lot smaller maps. It's a lot more accessible. It's a lot... It's not like, you know, I don't think I've game overed so far. But yeah, I definitely like it more than Wargroove. I get why something like Wargroove would come into existence, because people like these games and want more of them. But no, I've been enjoying it. I haven't put an insane amount. Like, there are 2 games. It's Advanced Wars 1+2. I'm still working my way. I'm maybe halfway through the first Advanced Wars. Maybe halfway through it. So I've still got a long ways to go, probably. But so far, I have been enjoying it. There was a split path. There were split paths, which I was surprised at. Well, it's not that I was surprised by split paths. I was surprised that once you picked a split, it cut off the other one. So, like, I went to go left, and then when I went left, it cut off the right path. That was not something I was expecting. But it's been fun, you know, you're moving around units, you're making military. I totally get why they delayed the game a year because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Because the villain in this game the villain Blue Moon is literally just Russian. Like, they're literally just Russia. So I totally get why that's why they decided to delay it. And they just kind of pushed it out. But I hope it does well. Because if it does well, that means we'll get a new one. You know, they'll make a brand new game, because this is just a remake. And Advanced Wars right, they've been having to make their own games, because Nintendo refuses to make them a new one. So maybe they will. Oh, these little freaking small fries are killing me. The only other thing I've been playing is Minecraft. I am convinced... So yesterday we did some achievement hunting in Minecraft. I am convinced that achievement that we tried to get early on in the stream is just bugged. That's why we couldn't get it, because it's bugged. Yep, after doing some more testing, including starting a new world, not a realm, and just getting the things real quickly in that, yeah, no, I'm fully convinced that that achievement is just bugged. I think that makes the most sense. It's the most logical anyways. Oh, shit. Ah, god damn it. I just need to survive like a second or more. Yeah. Anything else I have to talk about tonight? Not really. I mean, it was Xbox's day, so we were talking about Xbox. So I guess that takes us to the outro. So we will be back tomorrow with Zelda. We haven't played Tears of the Kingdom in like a week. Because, you know, E3 and everything, and then Minecraft new update. So we are going to play Zelda. We're going to play Zelda tomorrow. We're going to finally do some more story stuff. I keep pushing off the story stuff. We need to do some story stuff. Hopefully this 100 is enough to get us in at least bronze rank. I don't know. There's usually a billboard that tells you what the ranks are, but I guess not. Let's just get chunks. Yeah, isn't there usually like there's the employee handbook. I swear there's normally like a billboard right here, but I guess it's not here at the moment. But yeah, hopefully we'll get whatever. I at least want to get bronze rank. So far, we've only been able to get bottom 50. But I think with a score of 100, that should get us at least bronze. I pray it gets us at least bronze. It was a good round, though. Let's get this real quick. Ooh, red orb. Oh, it's just a pack of cards. Oh, I didn't have Shiver? Wow. That kind of surprises me. Yeah, you know, Xbox One E3. God, that doesn't feel right. Again, E3's dead. And I know part of the reason Xbox One E3 is because E3 is dead. I don't know. Maybe Nintendo will come out with a massive Nintendo Direct and it'll be the most amazing thing ever. But with Tears of the Kingdom being their biggest game of the year, I kind of doubt it. Even them announcing Mario Odyssey 2, I don't think will save them. We'll save a Nintendo. I mean, it'll be amazing. It'll probably look amazing. But, yeah. I don't know. They're probably saving Mario Odyssey 2 for the Switch 2. Which is kind of weird to think about. Because it definitely should have been announced by this point. Oh, I was like, do we have everything here? Yeah, Big Run does not... Doing Salmon Run does not give you enough experience. The amount of time it takes to do a Salmon Run, only giving you 2,000 points in the catalog, super underwhelming. Really? Nothing? It's been like a week since I last got anything from that one. Whatever. So yeah, we'll be back with Zelda. We'll be back with more Zelda tomorrow. And yeah, I'm excited. You know, we need to do some more story stuff. I keep pushing it off. Yeah. Yeah, Big Run went okay. Yeah. It's been a very busy day. It's now back to Minecraft for me. I've been trying to get one of the sniffer eggs. It's been a nightmare. I have had no luck, and I keep dying in the nether because I'm trying to build bridges, and again, build bridges underground in the nether. Building them above ground has just been a nightmare. And then I had to make a cobblestone generator because I burned up all my supplies in lava. It's been a whole the past 24 hours, it's been a whole thing. But yeah, that's the end of E3. Went by like that. I mean, to be fair, it started in May. And if Nintendo does anything in the next 2 weeks, I mean, we'll see. Because I totally see Nintendo spacing their thing out at least a week. Because they don't want to get over... They don't want all of their new things to be overshadowed by Xbox's new things. So, we'll see. Even if it's just a Nintendo Direct Mini. But with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.